Hey guys and gals, something a little bit different today. I got a kind of random request in the comments to do a home office tour. I can't imagine more than 5 of you are going to bother to watch this, but since I do try to read the comments and I also legitimately appreciate the support and the feedback, I have this short little video for you of a tour of my home office slash man cave slash dungeon, given how dark it gets in here. But hey, without further ado, this is going to be something a little bit different, just a short video of what's going on in the background of my video clips. So let's go ahead and get this turned around and I'll show you around. All right, let's try something different. So this is the opposite of the view you would typically see if you've been watching some of my recent YouTube videos. You're typically used to seeing probably this chair behind you. I get a lot of random comments about it, honestly. But this is the opposite side. This is where I tend to sit, and you wouldn't see this view from the perspective that I typically share. This is my home office. I work from here several days a week. I also shoot YouTube videos in here, obviously, but this room is unlike the rest of my house whatsoever. This is very dark compared to the rest of my house, and this is just kind of where I keep all of my junk and trinkets and collectible crap, as a lot of us in this hobby do. So I'll give you a really quick tour. Again, I can't imagine this is going to be terribly interesting. But on the front wall, you can see this is typically where I sit. And I do have a microphone set up here and my crappy web camera. And then above me, I have an 85-inch monitor slash TV with a sound bar. So I'll game in here, but I also use this just to kind of use as an additional screen. And then if we go down here, this is what you would not see next to my desk. For those of you that follow me or know, I'm a big car person and I happen to own that car. It's sitting not too far away from this wall over here in my garage right now. I've had this model, that's a BMW M Roadster, E36/7 generation. I currently have one in my garage right now. So it's kind of bizarre how I've owned this model since new and now I have the car to back it up. It's sitting in front of a picture of Seattle, a Seattle drawing. I'm a big fan of Seattle and I go there quite frequently, so that's just something I have in here. There's also a little mini Shinkansen hidden up there because I'm a bit of a Japanophile as well. Just nerdy junk as one would expect. Just a random stack of books. I do study Japanese, so I have some of my textbooks. Here's an old camera that I used to use back in the day when I shot some of my older videos. Quick wristwatch check. I'm wearing my Seiko Sumo today, funny enough. There's a random mobile hanging on my wall. I have no idea why. I just kind of like the colors, but I'm sure it looks pretty stupid to most people. And then if we come down here, I tend to have a lot of random collectibles. So some of this stuff is stuff that was given to me, like this Pixar book and stuff was given to me by a loved one who's no longer with me. But a lot of it's like about automotive industries and ships. So SS United States, classic BMWs. Bob Lutz was a big car guy at GM in the auto industry for years. This is a little diorama of a train in Japan that I put together. Some more pictures of Seattle. Another car model I've had since new is a C5 Corvette convertible. If you stuck with me for all these years, I don't know why, but I used to have a yellow version of this car as well. So ironically, I've had both these models since new and I've owned both this car and now this car. So it is kind of funny how life plays out that way. Huge gamers, you'll see my Xbox and my PS5 hidden back there. Lower shelf, that's a map of the Tokyo subway system. Some more car models. I have boxes and boxes of these car models. I won't bother to show them all to you, but I tend to have way too many of them. There's some Disney stuff. I'm a big Disney World fan, whatever that means. And that's Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, since I've had that for years as well. And James Bond tucked in the corner. I have closets full of books, so this is a very small part of it. And that's just a speaker down there for my bass. Some more Japan stuff, because again, I'm obsessed with it. I have my own PC that I built. It's not on right now, but if I turn it on, it was a Lenovo Legion, but I've rebuilt a lot of it. And you'll see inside, it's kind of hard to see. I have some Nissan Skylines and some other stuff I've jammed into there, but I've updated this with a video graphics card and some other things. So it's kind of a hybrid, I guess. I built some of it I didn't. This is my monitor setup. I have an additional cord to hook up my company laptop, so that's kind of where I work from home. Some Japanese ceramic stuff, because again, I'm a bit obsessed. Random artwork that doesn't really matter. Over here on this cabinet, a couple things. I'm originally from the Detroit area, so of course I have Shinola. I know not everybody's a big fan of it, but I tend to like this clock a lot. Here's a shift knob from my BMW M Roadster. I've since replaced it. This is an original World War II vintage poster that's been matted of basically the war effort during World War II. And if you're a ship aficionado, you'll recognize some of the planes and ships on this overall poster. Won't spend too much time looking at it. And then above it is a Navy hat from World War II that my grandfather wore when he was in the Navy as an S1. He was stationed in Japan and was blowing up submarines at the end of the war. The I class / E class, depending how you want to pronounce it. In this cabinet, I have some other random junk. Get this open. There's some really bizarre stuff in here. So some more car models and stuff. I like architecture, IWC, QE2, typical stuff for me. Architecture, watches, and ships. More Seattle stuff. I know I have a bit of an obsession. This is a 1899 Elgin pocket watch that I've had mounted. Well, I mounted it to where it's a wristwatch. There's a random light bulb in here I threw in. But this stuff is where it gets really interesting. So most of you probably not gonna know what this stuff is, but if you're in the Navy, you might recognize this. This is a knot indicator from a US Navy warship. This would have been used on a submarine and some surface ships. There's a button up here to turn it on for running with a red light versus regular light. Some Tokyo stuff, my Japanophile stuff. It's all the same stuff in here, architecture and cars, ships, and watches. This is an RPM indicator from a submarine, another Cold War piece. And it indicates RPM and also revolutions. More Japanese pottery. This is a depth gauge from a Cold War nuclear submarine. This is the shallow depth gauge. I don't have the deep depth gauge because my suspicion is that's still classified. I'm not the one really to qualify to talk about this stuff, but submarines of this era had multiple depth gauges, one to track shallow depths and one to track deep depths. This is the shallow depth one. This one does light up. Actually, I put a bulb in it and it will light up. It's kind of cool. And then over here, this is a planes indicator. So fair water planes, stern planes. This is another piece from a submarine. Actually, all these pieces are Cold War submarine spec. And this indicates the planes on the side of the submarine. So when it's rising, diving, and kind of leveling out in the water, this is how you adjust your angles to make sure, I mean, it says right on it if you can read too, rise and dive angles. So in theory, all these things would have been seen in a Sturgeon or a even early Los Angeles class submarine in different parts, and actually some other boats as well, Permit, Thresher, etc. So you'd be able to track your depth, your RPM, your overall knots, and also the angle of your planes. So some random stuff here. I have very eclectic taste. And then back here, because I gave you just some chairs and stuff. And yes, everybody notices the Seams chair. I don't know why, but that's what that is. And then there's some windows that I'm going to leave closed for privacy, but those go out to a deck. And then, as I mentioned, this room is nothing like the rest of my house. So if you're ever curious what's outside this room, this is where the rest of my house actually starts. So the rest of my house is very light and bright, and I'm not going to give you a full tour on this, but as you can tell, my office is unlike the rest of this house. They have literally nothing in common. So with that said, hope that was mildly entertaining for you. I do read the comments, and you asked for a video and I gave you the video. So let me know what you think. And thanks so much for those of you that bothered to tune in. This wasn't really for you. Oh, and then one other thing, I guess I get asked about that clock over there. So that clock is a Colonial Molyneux grandfather clock from Zeeland, Michigan, running a 3-chime movement, and it's pretty cool. And then there's just some other junk in here I won't share, but anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. Catch you all in the next video. See you later.